I think with homeschooling and the love and the relationship that you build with your child is the most important thing. And without that love and relationship, you can give them all the tools, the most expensive curriculum, the best room to do their homeschool work in, and they're not going to be successful. The tides were shifting. Colleges want those homeschool kids. So now that you've started homeschooling, you realize that it's a lot harder than you actually thought. In fact, there might be a lot of things that are stressing you out. Judgment from your family. What are they going to say? You're concerned about whether or not your kid is socialized, whether they're going to be able to get into college. Are they smart enough? Are they well-rounded enough? Are you ruining them? Are you forgetting something, or are you missing out on something, or are you afraid that they're missing out on something? And of course, there's always that fear of whether or not you picked out the right curriculum this year. There is so much, and you're lucky because this is actually a collaboration that I've brought together. There is a ton of other moms that are gonna share with you the things that they stress out about and why we really shouldn't be concerned or worried about those things too much. It'll give you peace of mind and comfort. So make sure you go ahead and check out that playlist in the description box below, and it's gonna help make your year go a lot smoother. Now, my name is Leilani. I am a homeschool mom. I'm a former public and private school teacher, and I do evaluations for homeschoolers in the state of Florida. I also have a daughter who has special needs that I am raising. So if you like this video, consider subscribing as we journey together as we raise our exceptional children, and I will give you some encouragement and tips on homeschooling along the way. In this video, I'm going to address the stress and worry that you may be putting on yourself because you're worried that your child may not measure up to the other kids that are not homeschooled. And I'm going to talk about why you really shouldn't worry too much about this, setting your mind at ease and hopefully encouraging you. First of all, and this is probably a really good reminder for all of us, homeschooling is a totally different animal than your public and private school. It is not your cookie cutter, state standards, gotta reach that benchmark kind of mentality. You are the parent and you get to decide what is important for your family and for your child. You get to be the principal. You get to be the state standards. Now, there are some state requirements. I totally get that. Make sure you know your state requirements because some states will say you have to do certain subjects while other states will say do whatever you want. And please pay attention to those because those are important. But really, like honestly, homeschooling is really whatever you want it to be and look like whatever you want it to look like. But you know what? We still worry. I'm gonna talk about that some more. Hopefully you guys don't get too uncomfortable. We still worry, even though about 2 million students in the United States do homeschool. And that's a rough number because we can't just go around counting every 2 million. 2 million. So when it comes to being competitive with other students, I guess we just need to realize that this world is changing. It's not like it was when we were in the public and private school and everybody had the same benchmarks and state standards and everybody was compared to each other the same exact way. We were cookie cutted. 2 years ago, at a homeschool convention I went to, I was listening to a college counselor and he was saying the tides were shifting. Colleges want those homeschool kids. Why? Because they have good work ethic. They're self-motivated and driven. They're not pressured into going to college. They're going to college because they want to go to college. They have family that stands behind them and supports them in their goals. They're honest, they're truthful, and they have integrity. And when you look at the homeschool students compared to the public school and private school students going into college, when you compare those two, the homeschool students, the dropout rate was significantly lower compared to the public and private school kids. Colleges actually like us. They like homeschool kids. And they like it when kids don't drop out of school. But not only colleges. I mean, you look at kids nowadays, they want to be entrepreneurs, they want to go to technical school, and colleges are not necessarily only for the elite. I mean, nowadays it seems like everybody's going to college. The job market and everything is just changing, and we have to take that into consideration. However, one way that we can still combat some of those fears and worries is by setting some goals. Long-term, short-term, but let's just look at those short-term goals because we don't really want to think about our kindergarten or being in college. I wouldn't recommend that. Goals change from year to year, from month to month sometimes, so let's just start with the short-term goals. And also with those older kids, those high school students, let them get involved with their goals. So let's start with, 5 goals. Keep it really, really basic, really, really simple. 5 goals. Those goals don't have to be state standards. They don't even have to have anything to do with what the public and private school require. I mean, go straight to the college. If you have questions about getting your child in college and they're high school age, go straight to the college. Bypass the public school system because they're the ones saying yes or no when it comes down to things. So here are some random goals that I just can kind of throw out for any age. I want my child to complete Algebra 1 by the end of the year. I want my child and family to read through the Bible by the end of the year. I want my child to learn how to read. I want them to know their consonants and vowels. I want my child to complete these 6 classes online. I want them to take ownership of their learning. I want my child to be more organized and keep his own area nice and clean and his folders all in order and not just trashed around the classroom or the house or under his bed. I want my child to write fluently in cursive. I want them to speak Spanish with other Spanish-speaking families. I want them to be able to play basic scales on an instrument, and I want them to be able to hold a pencil 90% of the time correctly. Okay, those are just some goals that I just kind of threw out there. You don't have to take any of those. You could. It's totally up to you. But, pick 5 goals. And when you get your 5 goals, now what you have to do is don't compare. Take ownership of those goals. Be realistic, keep it simple, and be flexible. And remember that every single homeschooler has a different set of goals. Every single family has a different set of goals, and they're gonna change every year, sometimes. Maybe a lot, maybe a little, it's so flexible. That's the last one, be flexible. And remember to think realistic. I mean, don't say, hey, my kid's in 5th grade, and I want them to be done with Algebra 1 by the end of the year, 3 math years shoved into 1 year. Don't do that to yourself. Now, when you get to the end of the year, let's say you didn't meet 1 or 2 of those goals, well, that's the time that you want to sit down and reevaluate yourself. It could be that you set your goals too high, and be honest with yourself about that too. But it could also be that your child is just not interested in meeting that goal, and it was just a bad goal. Or it could be a red flag for a learning disability. And you know what? That's totally okay, because guess what? Now you know, and don't be afraid to find help. I'm gonna give you some examples of that in just a second. Also know by goal setting, you're gonna find out your child's strength and weaknesses through the year. So it's gonna help you better goal set for the next year. Besides picking out those short-term goals, remember to also take it a day at a time. And remember, as your child gets closer and closer to meeting that goal, don't forget to congratulate them, applaud them, and tell them all the wonderful things that they are doing that are so much pleasing you. Now, like I said before, if you're struggling, do not be afraid to reach out to other moms. I'm just gonna be honest, that's fear and that's pride. I'm gonna tell you too that homeschool moms are like a wealth of resource, okay? I know a lot of homeschool moms because I homeschool and I talk to a lot of homeschool moms, and I really swear that homeschool moms are probably some of the smartest people in the world. And they kind of know it sometimes. They've been in your shoes, they've been in those situations, and they can kind of give you some advice on how to help pull you out of that slump that you may be in. I feel so strongly that the relationship between a parent and their child, it just blossoms when you homeschool. And yes, we do. We worry that it's not going to blossom, but if you can just sit back and get into the, swim with it, right? That's what I always, it's like a wave, you go up and down, and you're gonna have to be flexible and move with it. I'm rambling right now, but we just gotta go with the flow, so to speak. That's what I was trying to say. Go with the flow. Oh, I could have just said that. Okay, moving on. Let's look at some big, real examples, and I'm gonna touch on a couple different ages. So let's start off with this lovely stress. Us parents want to see our child read. It's a big deal, and we start to compare. My kid was 6 years old when she learned how to read at a 5th grade level, or my child was recognizing sight words at age 2, and that's awesome. It's not necessary to prepare them for college and have them have a successful life. For me, I didn't learn how to read until I was in 2nd grade, and I considered myself very bright. I had a successful career, and I was happy. So my point being, if your child doesn't learn how to read by the age of 6 or 7, don't stress out about that. Be aware that there might be a learning disability. Talk to other moms, reach out for help. I'm telling you what, moms carry business cards for evaluators, tutors, teachers, as well as therapists for both them and their kids. It's true. We do. So while we're on the topic of dyslexia, I had a parent and her daughter had severe dyslexia. And at this point, she was going into 6th grade and she could not read. And it was horrible for that whole family, the stress and the struggles and the anxiety and just the fact that she would spend hours and hours on end working with her daughter, feeling like she was getting absolutely nowhere. The public school did fail them, and she was one of those that pulled them out of public school. And she decided one year that her goal specifically for her daughter was to learn how to read. She went out and got involved with an amazing program. By the end of the year, her daughter had taken strides. She was reading and advancing more than she had ever done before in the public or even homeschool environment. But this mom, this is all she did for homeschooling. Yeah, she had a math workbook, but the whole science and history thing, that just kind of happened out of field trips and life experiences. There was no curriculum for that. Her curriculum was getting past this wall of dyslexia, learning how to cope with this disability and survive and thrive in life, and also build her self-esteem, because that's what happens when you start to overcome these obstacles. Here's another story for those of you moms that are really big into unschooling. I do know a mother, and she had multiple kids. She did have some tragedies in her life, and her kids didn't necessarily learn how to read. There were a lot of family things happening that were affecting just everything, their education, their life. And the mother was determined to continue to homeschool these kids because life happens, right? Well, some of these kids did not learn how to read until they got older. And most people would be very concerned because they were definitely not hitting any of the benchmarks or state standards. And if they took a nationally normed test, which I don't think they ever did, they would probably score very, very low. However, those kids are all grown up and they're all adults. And I can tell you right now that all of them have successful jobs. I mean, one's an entrepreneur, one's an engineer, one is a hair designer, one is actually she's in college to be an architect. So that just goes to show with determination, that just goes to show a lot, actually. I think with homeschooling and the love and the relationship that you build with your child is the most important thing. And without that love and relationship, you can give them all the tools, the most expensive curriculum, the best room to do their homeschool work in, and they're not gonna be successful. I mean, that's just my opinion. So why do parents stress out about their kids not measuring up? And let's be honest, some of it is cultural, some of it is peer pressure, some of it is peer pressure from your friends and family, a lot of it is comparison. And another reason parents stress out is because they're not focusing on what their child and their family actually needs at this moment in time. You're allowing other influences to creep in, families to tell you, people to tell you what they think you should be doing or should not be doing. All this is one big giant distraction. It's gonna pull you off of your game, set you back, cause depression, stress, worry, keep you up at night, make you drink more coffee, eat more chocolate, all that stuff. And it's a distraction. We don't need that distraction. So what I'm saying to you, instead of worrying about these things, I think we all just need to embrace these things and just be who we are, do what's needed for them, get your eyes focused on them, and get your eyes off of what's going on in the world. And they're gonna be okay. They're gonna be okay. So hopefully this video encouraged you. I'm gonna stick some other videos that might also encourage you on this journey, but also make sure to check out that amazing playlist down in the description box below, which is the collab that I have put together with some amazing homeschool moms that do have different perspectives. And I hope you binge on this playlist and just feel encouraged, because it's exciting in the beginning to start homeschooling, and then you just get into some bumps and you feel helpless. I totally get this. We all totally get this. So check us out. My name's Leilani. This is our channel, Living with Eve. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this video, and journey with us as we raise our exceptional children and talk about some homeschooling along the way. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye.